Hey guys, what's going on? This is NGS and welcome back to VEDA. VEDA stands for Vlog Every Day in April and we are on day 20. And before, because I know someone's going to mention it in the comments section, happy 420, YOLO, blaze it, swag fag, let's do it fam. So anyway, for today's episode in particular, I'm actually going to be doing a Q&A on my Instagram account. I posted a photo where I basically said you guys can ask me anything. So you can post your questions down below in the comment section and I'll answer them on today's episode of VEDA. In particular, I did kind of want to steer away from anime, manga, and gaming questions because for the most part, I talk about those things on a daily basis on all my social media accounts, and you guys see enough of that on my channel, so I'm just sticking to things that aren't related to those topics, and we'll just go from there. So for the first question, it comes from 2-Bit Shock, also known as Ruben, really cool guy. Bruh, do you even lift? LOL, nah, just playing, I knew you do. What's your max in squatting? The funniest thing here is that I actually got a lot of fitness related questions, which is pretty interesting. So as far as squatting goes, there's a bit of a story behind what my max squat is. For the most part, I really don't do too much free weight squats or deadlifts or bench pressing, mainly because the gym that I am at right now, Planet Fitness, does not really promote that sort of lifestyle, to say the least. Most of the machines at Planet Fitness are Smith machines, so everything is all on one track, so you can't really maneuver anything around. When it came to doing that with those sort of things, I really didn't do too much of them. I didn't incorporate them into my workouts when I first started because I knew I wasn't going to be getting the most effective gains out of them because of where I was at the gym. However, in the past couple of months, I have gotten the chance to work out at different gyms and experience, what it is to like use free weights that go up to more than 55 pounds and use free weight dumbbells and barbells and squat racks and all that stuff. Since I don't primarily practice that stuff, I won't until I actually switch gyms over. I'm just waiting for this month to finish so I can subscribe to a new gym. My max squat on the Smith machine is 225. But as far as like free weight stuff where it actually matters, I can only go around 165 for like 8 clean reps. So that's basically what it is. It's 225 Smith machine for 8 reps, and then it's 165 free weights for 8 reps. I know it's a bit of a big difference, but anybody who uses a Smith machine will pretty much understand what I'm talking about. There is literally nothing else you have to do except go up and go down, go up and go down. There's no stability gains, nothing like that. Alrighty, so next question. This one comes from and I'm just gonna say this now, I will be butchering some of your guys' names. Activu Alex, do you think Black Bond and Trey, talking about Dr. Trey, will ever end the war? Of course, this is talking about the YouTube console war going on with Black Bond and Dr. Trey, and for the most part, I look at the war between those two as as this generation's general MLD versus 7th level versus Truth Setting You Free and Blackbuster Critic and all that stuff. It's just mindless entertainment. I think both Trey and Black Bond know to an extent that they're doing this for comedic value. Obviously, they do have their stances on what they feel on each company. However, more often than not, they do it for fun. And I don't think it's ever going to stop. They'll probably dry out, like everyone will get burned off of it and tired of all the videos, but it'll definitely keep going so long as Nintendo keeps being Nintendo. Trey has his stances with Nintendo, Black Bond has his, and while a lot of people can say Black Bond is a troll, don't listen to him, Black Bond makes a lot of good points in his videos. It's just the manner in which he presents it really pisses people off, using all the exposed memes and frame rate issues and the classic Black Bond tropes. But he makes a lot of good points. Black Bond is a very intelligent individual. As much as people will say that he's not, he is. And Trey, while he does make some good points, for the most part, nah, Trey, it's like 1 step forward, 62.5 steps back for Trey every time he says something. So as long as those two are around and they still like what they're doing, then we're never going to see an end to that war. And it's all humor in the end of the day. So this one comes from Keegan Graz. What last few songs/artists have you listened to in the past couple of days? When it comes to my playlist, for the most part, I listen to the same music that I've been listening to since I was like well, a kid. So things that I would listen to when I was like 10 years old that I really like the sound of then, it still resonates with me now. Strangely not having nostalgia, which is funny. But, you know, I really do listen to a lot of classical, I listen to a lot of classical music first and foremost. But if you're talking about like particular artists, you know, in modern day, Skillet is always in heavy rotation on my playlist. They're my go-to band. Thousand Foot Crush is another one. Red, Icon for Hire. They debuted. They have 2 albums out, and they're phenomenal work. Ariel is a fantastic singer. In addition to that, the new Kendrick Lamar album, To Pimp a Butterfly. I always listen to that when I work out. Lecrae, as you guys know. Andy Mineo, Tripoli. I've listened to a lot of his work recently. But yeah, if I had to talk about like current rotation of what I always listen to, Skillet, Toby Mac, Thousand Foot Crutch, Lecrae, and Red in that case. So it's a toss up between those 5 that I always listen to on like a daily basis. And of course, Icon for Hire will be swapped out for one of those at some point. But yeah, those are the artists I listen to on a regular basis. Alrighty, do you have any thoughts on the ending of the Amazing Spider-Man franchise? And this comes from C. Mendez. I know you are a big fan, I like them as well. You know, I was going to wait a little while until Marvel unveiled more details on their Spider-Man series, but you know, I do feel that it is time for me to talk about it, considering that, you know, I gained a lot of support and subscribers because I was one of the people on YouTube who was for the reboot, who was supporting the reboot. And I, like, to this day, I still get comments from people on my video I did in like 2011 when the first trailer for Amazing Spider-Man came out. Everyone's saying, man, you know, I've never seen a person so passionate talking about Spider-Man in a coherent format. So that really meant a lot to me. And the movies do mean a lot to me, being a lifelong Spider-Man fan. And who was able to appreciate them for the things that they've done. And it does kind of suck that, you know, the public, for whatever reason, did not like them as much. I can attribute that to a couple of things. Obviously, the films do have their problems, as every superhero movie does. But I think it's just the style in which the films are made. This is one thing where I really do believe that Spider-Man is better suited for a television series rather than a movie. If you look at, like, the Spider-Man comics as a whole, for the most part, it's not just, you know, we're going to wrap everything up in one issue and then move on. It's an ongoing story. And by ongoing story, I mean they'll establish things in one issue, touch on them a couple issues later, and then like 50 issues after that, it's like a grand reveal, some really crazy, interesting stuff. So it's not necessarily just straightforward point A to point B. There's always stuff happening in the background. Which is what I think Mark Webb understood about the comics. He understood that it's not just a linear storyline. They can't just wrap everything up in one movie. If you really want to do justice to the character, that's what they're going to have to do. They're going to have these ongoing storylines, which the public did not perceive. They did not really like that at all. They complained that they were dropped plot points and they weren't ever, you know, expanded on in the sequel, even though they were. So I think it's just the style of filmmaking. It doesn't really lend itself to the movies. Honestly, I will say this: if the Mark Webb series ended up being a television series on Netflix, you keep the entire same crew, same staff, everything. You don't even have to say the MCU is attached to it. I think a lot of people will be more on board with that because it would make more sense from a television approach. You know, they're still good movies. I enjoy them, but you know, Spider-Man as a whole will always be. To me, it feels more cinematic in a TV sort of way, especially if you're going to be crossing over with multiple characters on the regular as opposed to just one movie. But I really do love the movies. They have a special place in my heart being a big Spider-Man fan. And it does kind of suck that, you know, this is going to be what the perception people have of the movies, you know. It is going to feel unfinished to an extent, but I think that with the end of the second movie, you know, that really did give Peter, I guess, for the most part, his closure that he needed after, you know, Gwen Stacy passed away. And he realized that this is why he has to be Spider-Man, you know, taking all the good and taking all the bad and just keep going on. I think if they were to have the third film and just wrap it up in a perfect trilogy, focusing on his recovery after Gwen's death and meeting Mary Jane, if they were ended off there and then go straight into an MCU reboot, I think a lot of people would have enjoyed that more. But it does kind of suck that we're never going to see the rest of that. But hey, that's how the industry works, unfortunately. And in the grand scheme of things, you know, I do have hope in Marvel. I have faith that they're going to do justice to the character, because while I really do love Andrew Garfield and his portrayal, there are different aspects of the character that can be explored, which leads into another question somebody asked. What are your thoughts on Hugh Jackman saying that the next X-Men movie will be his last as Wolverine and XMen Apocalypse as well? Same thing that I feel about Andrew Garfield and Robert Downey Jr. You know, these guys literally are the living, breathing actors to play the characters, and it's great for it. However, you know, just because they're amazing at it doesn't mean you can't find an actor who does a good job, if not better, in different ways. So I think that we are going to find an actor who can portray Wolverine in a different light than Hugh Jackman, but at the same time, still be Wolverine at the end of the day. Same thing for Robert Downey Jr. and Tony Stark. Tony Stark, I love what Robert Downey Jr. did with the character, but at the same time, anybody who reads the comics understands that there's a lot more to Tony Stark's character than just what Robert Downey Jr. is. Robert Downey Jr. for the most part does play himself, but there's a lot more going on with his character that can be explored in future movies. So I look forward to a new actor playing the character, only because, you know, these are how things work. Robert Downey Jr., by the time if he does stay on to Avengers 3, he'll have been playing the character for 11 years. Hugh Jackman is coming on 15 years as Wolverine, and he swears up and down that every X-Men movie is going to be his last. I mean, he's dead-ass the Hideo Kojima of superhero movies. He keeps saying this, that, and the third. One second he's saying that he doesn't want Fox to recast the character, they want him to reboot it entirely. Then he's saying that he'll keep playing Wolverine movies till he dies. But I think Hugh Jackman, coming up on 50 years old, I think even he knows it's time to, you know, just let it go and just move on. And his work as Wolverine was good. Granted, it took up the majority of the X-Men franchise, and we didn't really get much of X-Men, but unfortunately, that's what people wanted to see. And as far as X-Men Apocalypse goes, I have no interest in the movie whatsoever. You guys know that while I like some of the films in the series, I'm not a big fan overall of Fox's film series, mainly because it's not X-Men. I know a lot of people like to claim that First Class and Days of Future Past are X-Men, but they're really not when you think about it. When you think about the team as a whole and everything is more Wolverine-centric in these movies, unfortunately. And so many badass characters have been put to the side, you know, for whatever reason, and they made so many pointless changes, and characters just got shat on entirely, and not just by Brett Ratner or, you know, whatever director someone wants to point out. Bryan Singer is responsible for a lot of the stuff too. So I think what we've come down to is people looking into the X-Men movies with lowered expectations. They're thinking that, oh, well, you know, I'm thinking it's going to be mediocre, so anything better than that is going to be amazing. And it's true. Like, look at the reviews for Days of Future Past. I mean, the movie itself has so many problems, but everyone is saying it's so great because it's better than the last ones. I don't understand that logic and that mindset, and that is why Hollywood keeps getting to do the things they do. Sure, it could be a decent movie, but at the same time, with the stuff that we've missed out on for the franchise and so many characters who have been shafted just to give you this, like, come on, it's not worth it. And that's why I don't go and support the movies. I mean, the only movie that I bought between the two was between that and the Wolverine. I bought the Wolverine because the Wolverine was the most comic book accurate X-Men movie we've seen. Granted, that's not saying much, but it captured Wolverine better than all the other movies did. Anyway, that's enough talking about crap. Alrighty, next question comes from Mookman24. What do you fear the most? This is a pretty personal question, mainly for me because it always changes. I know a lot of people have one constant fear throughout life. For some it's fear of spiders, some it's fear of rejection. But for me, the fear right now is just becoming too complacent in life. In the past couple of years, I guess I've done a lot of growing up as a whole. For a while I was complacent on, you know, where I was in life and really not wanting to move on and do much better, mainly just saying like, yeah, okay, I'm fine with this. But in the past like 2 years, I've definitely changed some things, and, you know, I've become a lot more independent as a whole, my relationship with my parents and everything. So it's just that being more independent about things, just, it causes you to grow up. And you know, one thing I worry about is I'm grown up and I'm just going to have this fear of just sitting down and, you know, stagnating and everything. So that's what I fear right now, just stagnating. Because if you stagnate and you don't feel the drive to do something more, then I think that's the worst feeling, because it's so hard to come back from it. Because we're capable of doing so much once we put our, you know, put our mind, our blood, our sweat, and tears into something. We're capable of a lot of things. So that's my fear right now, of just, you know, being too complacent in life and not wanting to go the next mile, you know, achieve the next step on the trail or whatever. But that's it. I know it's a weird fear. I know a lot of people are saying, you know, fear of this, that, and the third, but that's just what I'm feeling inside right now. Alrighty, next one comes from Suits18. What are your thoughts on what Marvel will probably do after the third Avengers movie? Do you think they will reboot it or what? As far as Phase 3 goes, I did a video on that a couple of months back. But to be honest, Phase 3 is the most crucial aspect of the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe for a lot of reasons. First and foremost, this is where the universe comes together. This is where we're not just seeing the same characters team up twice now. We're seeing a lot more introduced, from Black Panther to Miss Marvel, the Defenders series on Netflix, Inhumans, Doctor Motherfrickin' Strange. We have a lot more that really does encompass a universe as a whole, instead of just the guys on Earth and the Guardians in space. So that's what I'm excited about more than anything, because this is one of the reasons why, I mean, it's not really a pet peeve. Me and my friend Claudio were talking about this. If you look at the Avengers movies, they're not really Avengers per se. They're just dudes who got together to save the planet. And that's it. I mean, there's not this grand global sense of having a bunch of superheroes together or moving in and out of the lineup and all that stuff like they do in the comics. Until now, that's what they're doing. Basically, Phase 3 is extremely important for Marvel, and they have a lot of things riding on it, because for the first time in history, this is actually going to feel like a connected universe, not just a couple of people getting together to save the planet every now and then. You have so many characters from different walks of life who will probably not even interact with one another until it gets to a certain event, and that's what makes it even more interesting, because it actually does feel like the comic books in that sense. Well, it's really awesome to get excited about the possibilities. At the same time, you do have to consider the fact that Phase 3 is the largest, and going forward from Phase 3 into Phase 4, if they're even going to keep calling these phases, you gotta wonder what that means for the quality of the movie, what that means for, you know, quality control overall, when you have so many different, you know, characters running around and so many different writers and directors, you know, who all want to do their own thing. It was easy in the beginning because you only had a select group of characters to work with, but now when you have like 10, 20, 30 plus, it's definitely going to be a challenge for them. But I don't think they're going to reboot it. I think that they have really created an interesting niche where they don't need to necessarily reboot a character if an actor leaves or if something happens. They can just recast it, which is going to be inevitable with basically all their choices. Once the actor wants to leave or the contract's up, what have you, they're going to have to find a new person to play the role. Next one comes from St. Julian 1. Marvel or DC? Again, a pretty controversial question depending on who you talk to. Overall, as a whole, while I think both sides have pretty good writers as far as their comics are concerned, I've read good stories from both Marvel and DC. As a whole, I would say Marvel has a better grasp of what they want to do than DC. I think DC has definitely contributed a lot to the ongoing comic book industry memes, such as, you know, it's impossible to start with the comic book because there are so many different reboots and, you know, restarts and issue zeros and new 52s that happen, in addition to, you know, characters just not dying. I mean, I know Marvel does the same thing, but DC just goes overboard with it. That combined with how I feel that it's not as diverse as Marvel's cast of characters. Sure, you have your Batman family and you have your Superman and all that stuff, but as a whole, I think Marvel has a more diverse lineup of characters going for them that get a lot more attention outside of just Batman and his superpowered bitches. So that's why I prefer the things happening on Marvel's side of things. But still, DC does have some good stories. I've read a lot of good Batman stuff, some good Green Lantern stuff here and there. anything with Nightwing outside of what they've been doing recently. But yeah, as a whole, I'd say Marvel gets it in the comic front. They get it in the movie industry. But as far as animation goes, that's where I think DC does, for the most part, remain supreme as far as quality goes. I'd say a good, 9 out of 10 of their TV series that they produce are excellent quality. I mean, things from Justice League to Young Justice, even though Young Justice, it's not as good as those series, it's still worthwhile and watchable. However, I think that their animated film department has definitely gone downhill in quality, especially when you're coming off of stuff like Green Lantern First Flight and Batman Under the Red Hood, and then you're going into the stuff that they have now. It's similar to the stuff with the X-Men things. People are just like so excited that they're doing it instead of looking into the actual quality of it, that they let their hype blind them. But I do think that DC has a lot of potential to make an entire universe out of that. I do think it's more of a Suits issue. It's more of a corporate problem of them not being able to realize the full potential of it, as opposed to Marvel, who can just do whatever the heck they want. And I mean, if you're looking at it through raw numbers, probably Marvel has more of an imprint in the animation industry than DC does, even though DC is loved more than Marvel in that respect. I mean, if you look at the stuff that's airing on Marvel's block, while it's not really entertaining to most of us, it's gonna keep going because it does what the DC series don't do, and it sells toys and it appeals to kids and it keeps going. So yeah, Marvel overall as a whole, DC in certain aspects for their comics, but they're really behind the times and they are going for more shock value than Marvel does on a consistent basis. Alrighty, so next question from Kazuya Jin, a longtime viewer. Do you know the Muffin Man? Is he one of your homeboys? The world needs to know about this Muffin Man. You see, now, the thing about the Muffin Man, which a lot of you guys need to understand, thing about this here Muffin Man is that you don't address him by his first name. I'm just gonna say that. So by you saying that, dude, you're probably not even live at this point. Alright, next one comes from a very close friend of mine, Ryan Ziegler624. Why can't I build a meaningful relationship with my parents? Because you're a brony, that's why. And he had a second one. Why can't jet fuel melt steel beams? Because they're made out of kryptonite? I don't know. The next one comes from Cruise3827. Do you jam to Taylor Swift? With the amount of times that they play that in my store, sometimes you just gotta shake it off, bro. Melvin2898, did you wish Hitler a happy birthday? Do you know someone named D? Well, as far as wishing Hitler a happy birthday, I guess, happy birthday, Adolf. As far as knowing someone named D, yes, I actually did know a coworker named D. She was really awesome. She worked in the copy and print department, and sadly she's no longer with us. Got a better job. Alrighty, moving right along. Bradtastic, what are your thoughts and opinions on Sword Art Online? I was trying to avoid an anime question, but I guess why not? One question isn't going to ruin the whole basket of apples, I guess. That's how the saying goes, right? As far as Sword Art Online goes, I came into Sword Art for the most part after the hype. I know a lot of people out there, were talking like it's one of the greatest anime in the past couple years. It's just so awesome. Overall, Sword Art it's an okay show. It's an alright show. It's worth watching, but it's really nothing special. It's very pretty. It's got some really good action scenes, but that's basically it. And I'm fine with that. A lot of people out there, I think, have blindly started to hate on the series for no reason whatsoever. They're taking things that are in the show and they're just taking them to the most craziest of extremes just to hate on it. Especially the second part of the first season. They're saying how, it's shit quality and it's horrific and it's horrible. And I'll just say this, while it's not as good as the first part, all the people out there who are shitting on Sword Art Online Season 1, Part 2, you are the same people who shill for Naruto and Bleach on a regular occasion. So don't sit here and try to say that, because if you're comparing those two, come on now, please, let's be real with one another. Like, don't sit here and defend those series and then crap on Sword Art when it's not even doing anything that bad. Like, I don't get it. I haven't seen part 2 or Gun Gale Online as they put it, but I mean, I'll probably check it out at some point. I heard it's decent, and that's what it is. It's just a decent show. Sure, it's overhyped, yeah, but that's not a bad thing. I just think people have jumped on the bandwagon to hate it for whatever reason. It's a 6.5 out of 10 show. Like, leave it at that. Y'all are making it out to be like it's one of the worst anime out there when it's really not. I just think people have just jumped on the bandwagon to hate it just because. Which literally makes no sense whatsoever considering the quality of shows that the people actively damage control on a daily basis. I'm just saying. Anyway, moving right along, what's your most anticipated Marvel film? Most anticipated Marvel film out of the entire bunch of them is going to be Doctor Strange. Based on the fact that the person who's directing it is a goddamn mastermind. Scott Derrickson is the best director choice for Doctor Strange. The dude understands supernatural so well in a realistic context without going over the top, without going so like cheesy and cliche and everything. I mean, like, just everything he's worked on has just been phenomenal. And I eagerly anticipate what he's going to bring to the table with Doctor Strange next year. However, I'm not too keen on the casting of Benedict Cumberbatch. I'm a fan of his. I mean, I love his portrayal as Sherlock Holmes. You know, I like him in a lot of things. However, I just think that was... It just, to me, it felt like they wanted to go with a really popular actor to sell a movie that they didn't know people would like. You know, I feel like they didn't really have too much faith in the rest of the production, which kind of does suck because there were plenty of other good acting choices. First and foremost, Ethan Hawke was like, I think, the number 2 choice to play Doctor Strange, which would have made a lot of sense considering Hawke and his history of acting. Not to say Cumberbatch is bad in any way. It just feels to me that, like, I really hope they just don't go the stereotypical, oh, you know, Cumberbatch is British, so let's make him British. Marvel, let Scott Derrickson do what he wants to do. Just let him do what he wants to do because this dude understands the character. You know, I mean, you've heard of Marvel, you know, stepping in and doing things and all that junk, but just let Scott Derrickson do what he wants to do. Just let it happen. Alrighty, next question comes from, that was from Fluffy Ninja 77, by the way. I don't know if I mentioned that. This next question comes from Corey Gryffindor, and I guess this is going to be the one gaming related question I answer in this Q&A. What are some of your most anticipated PlayStation 4 games for this year? To be honest, I really haven't been looking a lot into PS4 exclusives for the most part. Mostly any multiplat that would come out, I'll play it on PC. Witcher 3, I've pre-ordered. I'm getting that on PC. Batman Arkham Knight, I pre-ordered the second they announced that, and I'm getting that on PC. Uncharted 4 was going to be my most anticipated game, but unfortunately they delayed that. I mean, I don't really know what's coming out that I can't get on PC, on PS4 that's going to be like a huge, crazy AAA, like I need this now. You know, the only one I can realistically think of is Persona 5, and that's it. And I don't know anything else that's really coming out that's going to make me go like, wow, I need to get this on my PS4 like right now. You know, everything else is just stuff that would get along the way of owning the console. But we'll see what E3 brings this year for the PlayStation 4. Hopefully we see something interesting. All right, this one comes from Ivan Maciel. I'm sorry, like I said, I'm gonna butcher all your names. How much can you bench press? Similar to the question I got asked with the Squat Max, I use the Smith machine mostly all the time that I first started training at Planet Fitness. And as you know, Smith machine, you can only go one way. So I was able to, you know, put on some heavy loads for the machine. I was able to get to 185, 195 for like 6 to 8 reps. But I'm working more on getting my actual free weight barbell bench up. It's currently at a 165 for 6 reps. I know that's pretty low by most standards, but I don't train it much at the other gyms. That's only when I go with particular friends. But since I'm going to be switching over to a new gym in the next couple of weeks, that's definitely going to be a priority of mine, getting my free weight squat and my bench up instead of just using the Smith machine because, oh Lord, Smith machines ain't fun, I'll just say that. Alrighty, moving on to Mr. Soul Striker. Did you seriously get engaged? I guess I got engaged. JC Bartlett 25. Any fitness tips? Damn man, third question about fitness. Wow. Honestly, as far as fitness goes, for anyone who's trying to, get in there to build some muscle or lose some weight, to be honest, stop worrying about all the little things. I know a lot of people, when they're thinking about going into fitness, they worry about, oh man, like I don't know if it's really gonna pay off, or how much effort do I have to do this? Do I have to eat salads every single day and everything? They worry about such little, minute things that really, they shouldn't be, because your main objective when you're going into that gym is to go in there and fuck shit up. I'm talking about if you're a person who wants to get in there and you want to get stronger, you are going to have to make some sacrifices. And by sacrifices, I mean you are going to have to step out of your comfort zone. When you're working out, that is the first thing I tell everybody. You have to do some things that you would want to do. And by that I mean there's going to be pain involved. There's going to be such excruciating pain that you would never thought you would be able to deal with. And I just dropped my phone on the floor, thank God for cases. And you're going to be feeling sore for like your first 2-3 months of working out consistently. You're going to feel sore at least twice a week. And there are going to be days where you just feel so fatigued and you feel like, why am I doing this? It's not worth it. I could just be happy where I am now. Sure, I'm not the best looking, but I am consistent and I'm content with it. That's the first mindset. That's the thing that you have to break off when you start working out. You have to kill that mindset, because that is something that is really, it's a disease, and it's going to stop you from becoming the best possible person you can. So my main piece of advice, whatever you're doing, be it bodybuilding, powerlifting, CrossFit, bikini competitions, whatever, is to just be consistent and do it. And then from there, everything will go according to plan. A lot of people, when they look at photos on Instagram of fitness models, they just think it's, going to happen overnight or in a 6-month period, or if they eat a certain way or train something, they're going to get ripped or vascular, or, they're going to get a, nice curvy shape if you're a female. But it's not. Fitness is anything but that. It's not a straight line. It's all over the place, because every day you're learning new things. Every day you're incorporating new things into your technique, and you have to find out what works best for you. This is not what works best for me works best for everybody. It's not like that at all. You learn along the way that certain things that work best for you are not going to work well for other people, and everybody is different. Some people have to intake a certain amount of calories in foods more than others. Some people need to work out harder than others. Some people don't have to. It just all depends. So it's just be committed in what you're doing and just get ready to put a lot of time and effort into it, because this is a hobby that takes a lot of time, like any other thing, like video gaming or vlogging or doing anything. It takes a lot of time if you really want to see the rewards out of it. So just be consistent, do your research whenever you can, and you're just going to make some results. I guarantee you that. This one comes from Gideon. What do you think of computer conscience? Well, I don't want to think about that for a couple of years. I'll just say that, but we're getting there, man. We're getting there. This one comes from another close friend, Alexis. His IG handle is Alexis123. How them gains though? As far as gains though, I guess I'll show you guys a bit of a progress photo. I guess this is a photo of me when I first started lifting last year around this time. As you can see, I had a fair bit of weight around my sides. Nothing too crazy, mind you, but it was very visually unappealing. I was like 208 pounds, mostly fat, and thankfully my height really masqueraded all that, so it didn't seem that noticeable. This is a photo of me taken a couple of weeks ago. That's me at 190, and while there's like an 18-pound difference, you can definitely see that I did shed a lot of fat. I did gain a bit of muscle, and this was from 4 months of consistently at the gym, this photo right here. Because while I was working out consistently from last year, from like March to June, I fell off and I really didn't get back into it until January of this year. And from January up until now is when I've been really consistent. I've been focusing more heavily on losing the weight and then doing a little bit of bulking on the side. That's my main priority right now, is just like fat loss around the sides, and then building muscle whenever I can. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm on a cut, so I'm only eating a certain amount of calories per day. And I'm doing this for like the next 6 weeks. And then from there, once I'm happy with my progress, I'm going to start bulking up towards the beginning of the summer. And that's another thing you learn in fitness. Everyone says that you have to do things a certain way to yield the best results. Everybody works differently. Some people bulk in the winter, some people bulk in the summer. So it just all depends. But yeah, it's definitely a rewarding passion. I really do enjoy it. And, you know, I'm just not going to stop. I'm just going to try to be the best version of me that I possibly can be. This one comes from Camilo Waters. What drives you to make videos? To be honest, you guys. You guys are what drive me to make videos each and every day, putting the camera on a tripod, just recording and giving you guys my thoughts on whatever random topic that's going on in the world, because I really do love interacting with you guys. YouTube has done so much for me that honestly, I wouldn't be the same person without it. Not talking monetary wise, but I've met so many amazing people on YouTube who've become literal family to me. So many amazing bonds and friendships have been formed, and I've learned so much about people throughout the years. People come from different walks of life and how we can all be connected from, you know, just similar interests, and, you know, just me becoming a more open person, being able to speak more fluently, getting out of my comfort zone and speaking to a camera for, you know, 2-3+ hours at sometimes, and even on streams for 12 hours. So that's why I keep doing videos, because I like talking with you guys. And, you know, even if like only 5 people comment on videos, I still appreciate that, because I'm still able to talk to those people and they still keep watching. I know a lot of people really get pissy and they get fed up when their subscribers don't watch their videos anymore and stuff, but I don't even care. I really don't, because I'm going to keep making videos because I like having fun on here, and it's definitely something that interests me. And it's a great way for me to, I guess, speak whatever's on my mind. So I make videos because I have an amazing fan base who keeps watching and unfortunately memeing every single thing I do. Like, I can't post a video. I can post the most somber video in the world and then someone's gonna find a way to make a stupid ass meme out of it. But I love them, and that's why I promote them on my fan page. Okay, this one comes from my boy Walter Versatility. Are you ever gonna feature your brother on your videos? He showed up here and there from time to time. You've probably heard him in the background. He's dropped in more live streams than anything. He just comes to my room and randomly talks to me. But yeah, he's not really big into the YouTube scene. He watches YouTube videos and stuff, but not really, I guess, an on-camera guy per se. So he's not really into that sort of thing. This one comes from Revelation. Have you ever forsaken yourself? And by forsaking yourself, I think he means, have you ever given up on yourself, called it quits, don't worry about this, just forget about it? And to be honest, I would say there have been times that I've been very close to it. Certain things that have been going on in life, I just feel like it's over. I can't take it anymore. I just need to move on. You have to leave this behind in the dust. But at the same time, you know, in life, it only comes down to, you know, how bad you want something and how much you're willing to sacrifice to attain that thing. And there have been times, like take the fitness thing, for example, where I would just wake up and just feel like all this extra work and effort that I've been putting into something is not paying off at all. You know, but then you just sit back, you refocus, and you see the progress that you've made in this time, and then you realize that it's all worth it. And you're not going to be gaining anything by just giving up, because if you're giving up, that's basically saying that you weren't strong enough to do it. There are times in life when we should give up on certain things, but more often than not, most things that happen for people, you can't give up. You really can't in life. It's a dark, dreary world. You know, everybody complains that why life isn't fair. Life isn't supposed to be fair. You know, it's how you overcome those challenges. It's how you're able to stand up on your 2 feet after dealing with such hardship, pain, and turmoil that creates a strong individual, that creates a person who wants to inspire others to be great. And that's why I'm never going to give up on myself, because I know I'm better than that. I know that I've not given it my all, and literally I won't have given it my all until I'm, you know, in the grave. And the final question also comes from Revelation. If the average human lifespan was 40 years, how would you live your life differently? I mean, if people knew that they were going to die at a certain point, obviously they would live their lives differently. I mean, most people don't mature, honestly, until they're like in their late 20s, 30s and stuff. So that's really weird, because if you were going to die at 40, you just started maturing. So if people live their lives at 40, society would definitely be different. There would be a lot less emphasis on the things you can't do. They would definitely let you do a lot more things, and they would, I guess, try to rush you into doing things really quickly because you have a short life expectancy. So we definitely see a lot more things happening to people younger, and maybe a lot more people will be focused because they have less time to achieve things. But then again, that's just my perception on it. You know, everyone could be different. A lot of people could seem that, you know, maybe the perception is, what if it's coming like from someone who's lived a normal life and then they suddenly see that 40 is the life expectancy? That could be a totally different perspective. So this is a really vague question, and it honestly depends on who you're talking to and what they think about. Because I could say that everyone would live their life to the fullest, but obviously we know that's not true. Like, I mean, people nowadays, they're given one shot, one opportunity to do something, and they still screw it up. So it just all depends. And I think that's the end of this Instagram Q&A, this Instagram Ask Me Anything. We had a lot of questions on here, a lot of good, thought-provoking, interesting questions. I want to thank you guys, everybody who submitted questions to the Instagram account. I definitely want to do more of these in the future, so if you haven't followed me on Instagram, my Instagram handle is PhantomNGS. Phantom spelled the standard way, and then NGS, the initials of Neo GameSpark. So check me out on there if you want to, you know, drop a comment or something. You know, I'm all willing to answer stuff on there. And yeah, for me, for now, I'm GS signing out for VEDA Day 20, and I will catch you guys later. Peace.